Hi guys, Office Bloke Dave here.
And I am Ash.
Together we are a couple that react to things sometimes.
Apparently so. And in my flat this evening.
Yeah, we're around at Ash's flat.
I know, welcome. Come on in. Join us on the couch. Nice couch.
You've had a week on holiday with my family, so I thought it was only fair that I come to you for a change.
Yeah, quite right.
And film on a janky setup. I say janky, it's
better than the last time.
It's a Samsung Galaxy S22, which a year and a half ago was a really modern phone.
It's alright, I'm still on iPhone 8, so...
Peasant.
I just, once I get used to something, I hate change. I'm one of those, like, have you seen that episode of Family Guy, you know, when the house, like, gets torn up the side and Stewie walks in and goes, what's happened? What's happened to the house?
Yeah.
I don't like it, I don't like change. It's me. That's literally me.
Fair enough. Well, what we've alluded to a couple of times is a lot of the stuff I'm showing Ash, or like we're watching it together for the first time. So like Ren's new songs, Oliver Anthony, people like that. That's new to both of us. But some of the stuff I've seen over at Office Blokes React over the past 3.5 years, I'm showing it you.
Yep.
And now as a cultural exchange,
I'm showing you things like I showed you Childish Gambino.
Yep. Went down like a lead balloon, so yeah, cheers for that.
Screw you.
We got 10 views on it.
It did not.
No,
it got more than that.
It's a grower.
I got more views than the one that you had originally suggested, which made me think of Childish Gambino. Anyway, I love Mark Rober. I will be honest, I have shown Dave the odd video, but this one I haven't, and it's one of my favourite ones of Mark Rober's. He's just such a genius guy. He's so interesting. Yeah. And like, I mean, he's got like Guinness Book records and things, and I mean, he helped build the Mars rover. Yeah. Worked for NASA. He's a super intelligent guy. And he's so wonderfully sweet. Like, he works really closely with Mr. Beast, and they've done like the ocean cleanup.
You told me about that because
planting trees.
I think we've reacted to a couple of things that Mr. Beast did over at the Office Blokes to do with that.
Yeah.
But we reacted to the glitter bomb.
Oh yeah, the hacker.
The Office Blokes. We did that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of half aware of who he is, mostly through you telling me, and then I've seen the glitter bomb videos, but. We just picked one, or you've picked one.
I picked this one because I love this one. I think it was the glitter bomb that first got. No, it was The Size of the Universe, which was the first video I saw of his, and it was a suggestion when I used to watch Vsauce. I saw a TikTok come up of Vsauce the other week, and I thought he'd like gone because then he had like a Vsauce 2 and stuff, and it was another guy. And anyway, long story, but it got me into Mark Rober. And you know me, I love science, even though I don't really understand physics. But yes, let's do it. This is Mark Rober, Liquid Sand Hot Tub.
Let's do it.
I'm sitting in a hot tub filled to the brim with solid sand.
What? Is it vibrating?
This is one of the coolest things ever.
This is cool.
If you take a tub of sand like this, and then add air in just the right way, it basically becomes a liquefied soup.
Isn't that cool?
There's no water in there.
No, it's air.
No way.
Seriously, this is why I love this guy. He's so fascinating. So he'll explain the science, obviously, but it's just so cool.
I thought it was going to be like the, what's the term for it when a liquid, when it's put under pressure, turns into a solid? You know, like when you can get like custard, you can have a pool of custard.
He covers that. He fills his entire pool with custard, and he throws like his nieces and nephews onto it, and you can see. Like, I can't remember.
There's a name for it.
There is a name for it.
That's what I thought this was going to be.
No. So I can't remember what this is to do with, but obviously, like the science, like I said, I'm not very good with physics. But he does explain it, and it's to do with the way the air moves through the sand. And it was fascinating because after I watched it, I actually came across a book series about post-apocalyptic Earth, where everything was covered in sand, and obviously the water was gone, and our culture was buried beneath the sand. And they were people who had created these sort of wetsuits, as it were, that moved the sand and like liquid, so they could get into our culture below the sand. So it's just really cool, the science. Just wait, it's awesome. You'll love it. I'm such a nerd.
I could just watch slow-mo videos of this, to be honest.
I know. You have reacted to the slow-mo guys, right?
Yes,
good.
A couple of times, I think.
In science, this is known as a fluidized bed. It's used in industrial applications such as powder coat painting or in grain silos to make sure that the grain flows smoothly to the outlet.
You see the pigeon disappear?
Yeah. Love a bit of powder coating though, don't we?
Absolutely. Side tube. Resurrection.
With air on, the
Resurrection
top
is
surface is nearly frictionless. It's like an air hockey table.
That's so cool, isn't it?
And then when you cut off the air, it freezes everything exactly where it's at.
That's all. It's mesmerising.
It really is. Especially that proper white side. Oh, look, a rainbow.
So today I'm going to show you how to make a simple version like this yourself, and then because I became curious what it would feel like to be fully immersed in something like this, we made a hot tub size version. As you can see from the 60-year-old video from the Royal Institute of Science, this demo isn't exactly new. I've wanted to build one for a long time, but you can find literally no information online on how to make one like that. So I started combing through a bunch of patent drawings for massive industrial-sized fluid beds, and I noticed that instead of one big inlet, they all had a bunch of small holes to deliver the air. So starting with that in mind, it still took us 25 failed versions before we arrived at this design. As you can see, it's just a bunch of half-inch PVC pipes arranged sort of in a ladder. But the key is to drill two 1mm holes 90 degrees apart from each other, and then do a bunch of those spaced 25mm apart. Then you glue all the pipes together and just make sure you orient the holes down so that will keep the sand from getting in. And then you just seal off the container with some hot glue. And then fill your container with either fine sand, or we found glass beads worked really well. And you could power it with a small air compressor like this, or you could just rent a large nitrogen container like this for about 30 bucks, and that'll give you 10 minutes of runtime. As usual, I will put a link to all of the parts I used in the build in the video description. So my buddy Ken had an old broken spa in his backyard, which we decided to put to good use.
It's just, he's so dedicated, isn't he?
I've seen people with that skill.
Yeah. Well, it's another one to react to as backyard scientist. He was another suggestion after Mark Rubin.
Oh, wow. It just stops and you're like locked in place. It's like a weighted blanket on every surface of your body.
Literally just spent a week on the beach digging 6-foot holes.
I know.
And getting inside them, and you're telling me that a couple of pipes under it, and you just go. Whoop.
Yep, just thinking, can you imagine? The kids would absolutely lose their minds. Because Oscar was obsessed with digging those holes this year.
Do you think anyone's ever developed this as a weapon?
That's interesting.
You know, like if you've got,
just
if you've
like
got
weaponized quicksand
you've
all
got
the
a
way
base in
around.
the desert, and you just, as soon as people are marching on it, you just go.
That's how we survived the zombie apocalypse. Literally put that all the way around the house.
Suck all the zombies into the sand.
Yeah.
We don't live in the desert though.
No. We just build like a thing
Just
around
a big
the house.
sandpit.
There's just a big sandpit with all these air funnels, and just every time you see someone.
Yeah, I'm here to talk to you about our Lord and Savior.
It's so cool.
Yeah. What happened there? I was dropping them in.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, obviously freezing it and then you turn it back on and it releases them.
Now that it was tested and ready, in my ongoing quest to be the favorite uncle,
I love these little like Chinese gardens that we keep.
I decided to surprise my nephews with it.
Oh, kid. I mean, he built the world's biggest Nerf gun and surprised them as well.
Great uncle.
But before we get to swimming in sand, let's talk about the science behind a fluidized bed. And where we don't, click away if you think science is boring. If you're new here, you should know that my approach to science is similar to velociraptor hunting patterns. I try to bring people in with a catchy thumbnail or a cool thing to see, and then when they least expect it,
Do some science.
Yep.
Science.
I made the analogy breaks down a little at the end, but if you promise to hang with me for the next 2 minutes, I promise to try and walk the delicate line between trying to make things simple to understand without oversimplifying or being condescending. Fluidization is just when you have enough upward air so that the force of the air pushing on each grain of sand is equal to the downward force of gravity or weight. And when that happens on any individual grain of sand, it hovers in equilibrium like this. You can think of forces acting on an object like a tug of war. And if an object is in equilibrium, that means there's a tie and it doesn't accelerate in either direction, just like in a real tug of war if the sides are even. However, if you add Stone Cold Steve Austin to this side, that will make it totally unbalanced and will start to move this way, which is actually what happens if you accidentally turn the air up too high. As the fluidization occurs in that sweet spot where the sand particles hover in equilibrium, which makes them easy to move around. This is also the reason sometimes you'll see pools pumped with air to cushion the landing for the divers. Now you notice that some stuff floats in the sand and other stuff sinks. This has to do with the buoyancy force, which is a function of the density of the surrounding fluid and the volume of the object itself. Whenever an object exists in a pressure gradient, there are forces from pressure pushing in on all sides, but they push a little bit harder the deeper that you are, which is why it hurts more to be the bottom guy in a dog pile, or it hurts your ears more the deeper you dive in the pool. And this makes sense because the deeper you dive, the more water there is above you pushing down. And if you add up the size and direction of all those arrows, a bunch of stuff cancels out and you're left with one net force pointing upwards. That is the buoyancy force. And if your buoyancy force happens to be greater than your force from gravity, you float. And if your buoyancy force happens to be less than the force from gravity, you sink. Now we usually...
I gotta say, with the explanation, I think Oscar would absolutely love this guy.
I've said this for a while, like, he would absolutely adore it. Like I said, like the giant Nerf gun, the giant water gun, the things he does is just so fascinating. Like the way he explains, like I said, the first video that I ever watched of him was the size of the universe. And he literally shows like a grape in a field, and he goes, this would be, you know, us, and this is where the sun is. And he goes miles away and he explains literally how big the universe is.
There's a video that we'll react to after this that is how big the universe size comparison by someone else, and it's mind-boggling.
The one he does is mind-boggling. Like when I watched it, I was like, I'd never considered it. Like it's like they say, like your brain just can't compute it. I was like, what?
When people say you're just a grain of sand in a desert, and it's like, no, you're not. You're not even that.
Not even that.
So
not even
that.
Like that's the only way they can get you to compute it. But technically,
it's like you're an atom in a grain of sand in the middle of a desert.
Unreal.
On a planet.
Yeah.
I usually think of buoyancy with water, but you could think of things like helium balloons being buoyant in our atmosphere. So here's a trick question. Which of these has a higher buoyancy force? It's actually the rubber ball. Buoyancy force has nothing to do with the density of the object, just the volume. So since the rubber ball takes up more space, it has a higher buoyancy force. But, you might object, then why does the rubber ball sink and the balloon floats? Remember, it's a tug of war. The rubber ball sinks because the force from gravity on the thick rubber skin and the air inside is bigger than the buoyancy force. But for the balloon, even though it doesn't have as big of a buoyancy force compared to the ball, it still floats up because that buoyancy force is bigger than the weight arrow from the helium and the thin rubber shell. And the helium will keep rising like a ball floating up from deep in a lake, and then it will eventually hang out where the density of the atmosphere is roughly equal to the density of the helium in the balloon, because that's where the tug of war becomes equal. Whew, we made it through. Now back to my nephews.
How cool would it be? Something like that.
Crazy.
The only thing I would think of is imagine if you put your head under and it just stopped moving and then you're trapped.
It's not too deep.
No, but
maybe
still.
Don't do it on your own after a few minutes.
Yeah. It's so cool. The sand in his pocket.
I love the editing as well.
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he does like slow-mo stuff as well. He enjoys obviously the imagery. It's so cool. But there you go.
That's awesome.
That's Mark. Well, and a little introduction. But like I said, I've shown you, like, I think it was the squirrel run I showed you.
You showed me one of them.
Yes. Because it's so funny. Fat Gus is my favourite.
And so I think we will have to watch the other ones.
Yes.
Because I love the one that I saw.
Yeah, it was so brilliant. It's so good.
Love it. And without a doubt, I'm going to get my 7-year-old son watching it.
Oh, yeah. There's so much science behind it, and there's so much intrigue with it. And like I said, he does do the custard pool, and he also does the Jello pool, as you can see in the thing there. And I guess he does loads. He's done loads of things, but obviously he's well known for the glitter bomb Amazon package on.
We reacted to that ages ago, and
Yeah.
I didn't know who it was until I met you.
Yeah.
And then you told me.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
But he's got up to like the 4.0 level now. But it shoots fart, smell, and glitter.
I think we saw that. I think we may have reacted to 2 of his glitter bomb things at the Office Blokes.
He's also created this new device where it looks like a plant outside the front of people's doors. And it has a sensor so that when an Amazon delivery guy comes up and puts the package down, this thing literally moves forward, eats it, and takes it back and hides it.
Nice.
He is such a genius. Like, there's so much to see with Mark Rober. I absolutely love him. I think he's such a dude.
Nice. Right, well, if you want to see more Mark Rober on the channel, just let us know in the comment section.
Yeah.
Make sure you like and subscribe as always. I love seeing the subscribers go up more than anything. It's awesome. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It really is. And, you know, maybe one day I can have another 100,000 plaque.
I mean, yeah, that'd be nice.
5th of the way there. You've got to dream big.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Cheers for that one, guys.
Bye, guys.